Welcome back to Play the Game HQ. I'm Daniel, and in this video, we're going to teach you how to play 12 Rivers from Good Games Publishing, who helped sponsor this video. In 12 Rivers, you're a tribal leader exploring the 12 rivers flowing from the top of the mountain, placing temporary gates in order to collect magical pearls from the water so you can bring those back to your village and complete goals that will ensure another prosperous year for everyone in the village. The game is played over 5 rounds and it revolves around 2 key elements: collecting pearls from the river and getting those pearls onto the correct villagers in order to maximize your points. As you play, you'll be placing tiles into the river to temporarily stop its flow, allowing you to collect 1 pearl of your choice before removing the tile and allowing those remaining pearls to continue downstream. Placing tiles higher in the river gives you more control over the pearls that you'll be able to collect, but as you can probably guess, the higher up the river you go, the more it costs to place a tile there. So strategically, you'll want to look at the pearls available each round and decide which ones are worth paying more for to guarantee that you get those, and which ones are worth taking a chance to get them farther downstream. Once you collect pearls from your river, you'll transport them to your village on your trusty Alpaca, where you'll move them to villagers who all have specific requirements and score you points at the end of the game if those requirements are met. To set up the game, first you need to assemble the game board. The board comes out of the box folded flat like this. First, unfold the board completely, then fold the mountain over the top and lift it up so that it's standing vertical and the back of the board is lifted off the table. There's 2 feet included in the box that will go into the slots on the back of the board. Once the board is assembled, put it at the end of the table within reach of all players. Put the floodgate into the long groove at the top of the board, and then put all of the pearls in the bag. Put the fairy tokens into a face-down supply and make sure everyone can see one of the fairy reference cards. Then lay out the 5 Alpaca gold cards in the middle of the table. Shuffle the camp card deck and deal 6 to each player, then put the deck in the middle of the table and deal out 3 cards face up. Find the 4 starting villager tiles numbered 1 through 4 in the top right corner and set those aside. Then shuffle the rest of the villager tiles into a face-down stack at the base of the mountain. Take the starting tiles and randomly give 1 to each player, but only use the right number for your player count. So in a 2-player game, you'll use 1 and 2, in a 3-player game, you'll use 1, 2, and 3, and in a 4-player game, you'll use all 4. Each player also needs to pick a color and take the 3 matching tribe tokens and the matching color alpaca. We're going to walk through a 4-player game in this video, so I'll use all 4 colors of tribe tokens, but I'm only going to set up 1 player area. Your starting tile determines your turn order for the first round. Starting with player 1 and going in the order of the starting tiles, take turns placing 1 tribe token on the track at the bottom of the board. The first player will start in the top left space, and you'll continue down the track until everyone has placed all of their tokens. And this goes in order of the tribe tokens, not necessarily in order around the table. And now we're ready to get started. The game is played over 5 rounds, and there's 3 phases per round: preparation, exploration, and collection. The board is divided into 12 different rivers, starting at the top of the board and converging into the lake at the bottom of the board. If you're playing with 4 players, you'll use all 12 of the river spaces, but with fewer players, you'll use fewer rivers. If you start at the bottom of the board and work your way up, you'll see that it divides into 4 main river sections. In a 3-player game, you'll use the left 3 sections of the river, and in a 2-player game, you'll use the left 2 sections of the river. But since we're showing a 4-player game, we'll use all of the rivers. At the beginning of each round in the preparation phase, fill each space you're using with 1 pearl behind the floodgate. Once the river is filled, you're going to add fairy tokens beside the rivers that you're using. If you look closely at the board, you'll see these stumps and foxes next to the river. On rounds 1, 3, and 5, put a face-up fairy token on each stump to the left of any river you're using, and on round 2 and 4, put a face-up fairy token onto each fox to the left of the rivers you're using. So if you're playing with 3 players, you'll ignore these 2 spaces, and with 2 players, you'll also ignore these 2 spaces. If there's any tokens still on a space from an earlier round, just add another token to it. Fairy tokens will be collected when you add 1 of your tribe tokens to a space immediately to the right of that token, and they give you different benefits. We'll go over those later in the video, and you can see the details of each fairy token on the fairy reference cards. After you place your fairy tokens, deal out 6 villager tiles face up under the board. In future rounds, if there's any villagers left over from the previous round, just put those on the bottom of the deck so that you're always revealing 6 new villagers every round. Next is the exploration phase, where you'll be placing your tribe tokens into the river. You'll start with the first token on the track and work your way down until everyone has placed all 3 of their tokens. In the first round, this is going to be alternating and in the order of the starting tiles, but the order is going to change each round, so there may be times where one player places multiple tiles in a row. When you're placing your tiles into the river, you have a few different options. You can place a tile anywhere that there's a cutout for a tile, and while these do look like they're randomly dispersed up and down the river, they are divided into rows, and each row has a cost associated with placing a tile there. And that cost is shown down the left side of the board. The farther up the river you go, the higher the cost, and that cost is paid by discarding cards from your hand into the discard pile. So to go anywhere in this very top row, you would have to discard 3 cards, and it gets cheaper as you work your way down the mountain. 2 cards for this row, 1 card for this row. This row is free, and if you go to the bottleneck, you get to draw 1 card. And anytime you need to draw a card, you can draw one face up or from the top of the deck. Most of the sections have multiple available spaces, and you'll probably want to place your tile in the highest available space in that section, so you have first choice of any pearls that get to that section. If you ever place a tile directly to the right of a fairy token, take that token, put it in your play area, and you'll be able to use it later. If there's more than 1 token there, you'll take all of the tokens that are in that space. When you're deciding where to place your tile, you'll want to think about what pearls you need to collect. Eventually, you want to get pearls onto all of your village tiles, and most of those tiles require specific colored pearls in different spaces. If you place a token anywhere along the river, you'll be able to take 1 pearl that stops at that token when the floodgate is removed. But there's also a space at the bottom where the river drains into the lake. If you put your gate at the lake, you'll be able to take any or all of the pearls that end up there, which can be great, but there's also a chance that no pearls will make it there and you'll end up empty-handed. There's also times when there's pearls left over in the lake from an earlier round, and going to the lake will let you take those, plus any new pearls that make it down in the current round. So the lake can be very lucrative or a total bust, so you'll want to consider that risk when you're thinking of going there. You can also place tokens at the bottom of the board in one of the village spaces. These also have costs shown. You can spend 2, 1, or 0 cards to go there. And these spaces allow you to recruit a new villager from the bottom of the board. So I'll start the round by placing one of my tokens in this space, which is going to cost me 2 cards. So I'll discard 2 cards from my hand into the discard pile. And then I also played to the immediate right of a fairy token. So I'm going to take this fairy token and put it in my play area, and I can use that later. Next, yellow is going to go to the free space. Blue is going to go here, which would cost them 1 card. Green will go up here, which will cost them 2 cards. And this will continue on until everyone has placed all 3 of their tokens, and then it's on to the collection phase. First, remove the floodgate to release the pearls and let them roll down the river. Then players take turns collecting 1 pearl that has landed at each of their tokens. You'll always start with the highest left space that has a token in it, and you'll go left to right and then work your way down each row from top to bottom of the river. So green would go first, then red, then yellow, then green, and then blue, and so on until we get all the way to the bottom of the river. On your turn, you'll take 1 pearl that's trapped by your token and add it to your alpaca. There are cards and fairy tokens that allow you to take more than 1 pearl, but we'll cover those later in the video. Unless you're using some kind of modifier, you'll always take 1 pearl, and it always goes from the river to your alpaca. You never go straight from the river to your villager tiles. And your alpaca can only hold 6 pearls. If your alpaca is full and you want to take another pearl, you do have the option to swap a pearl from your alpaca with the pearl that you're taking from the river, but you can never have more than 6 on your alpaca. So I'll take this purple pearl from behind my red token and add it to my alpaca. Once you've taken the pearl you want, remove your token from the river and let any remaining pearls flow downriver. Then take your tribe token and place it in the lowest available space on the turn track at the bottom of the board. So the higher up the river you go, the later in turn order you're going to go on the next round. After you put your token in the turn order track, move to the next token in that row, and then work your way down the river from left to right, top to bottom. In a space like this where there's multiple tokens stacked up, the player highest on the river will go first, and then you will remove this token, and the next player will go immediately until all of the tokens have been removed from that space. If a player has a token in the lake, after all of the other river tokens have been removed, this player can take any or all of the pearls in the lake, but you are still limited by your 6 pearl limit on your alpaca. There's 5 alpaca goal cards that were placed at the beginning of the game, and each one shows a colored pearl and a number. If you ever have that number of that color of pearl on your alpaca, you get to take that card immediately and set it face down next to your alpaca, and you'll score it at the end of the game. So if I was to get 3 purple pearls on my alpaca, I could immediately take this card and put it face down in my play area, and it will score me 4 points at the end of the game. Once you resolve the lake, you'll move on to the village. Anyone with a tribe token in the village will take an available villager and add it to their play area. These tokens also resolve left to right, and once they're resolved, they go in the lowest available space in the turn order track. Some villagers allow you to draw cards when you recruit them, and this is shown in the top corner of their tile. So if I recruit this villager, I'll get to draw 2 cards. Once all of the tribe tokens have been resolved, players can move pearls from their alpacas to their villagers. Every villager has spaces to hold pearls. If a space has a solid colored background, it can only hold that color pearl. And if it has a rainbow background like this, it can hold any colored pearl in that space. Each villager tile also has scoring conditions that you need to pay attention to. Your starting villager scores 3 points for any full tile at the end of the game, and this tile scores 4 points for having 4 matching colored pearls on the tile. But each of those spaces can hold any color of pearl, so if you did have non-matching pearls there and it was full, you wouldn't score the 4 points for this tile, but you would still score 3 points from having that tile full at the end of the game. So at the end of round 1, I will move these 2 pearls to these 2 purple spaces on my villagers. You can keep pearls on your alpaca from round to round, but you can only move pearls to villagers after the collection phase. So leaving pearls on your alpaca may limit how many you can take that next round if it starts to fill up. Once everyone has finished moving pearls from their alpaca to their villagers, it's time to start the next round. First, refill the pearls at the top of the river, add new fairy tokens to the board to stumps on odd rounds and foxes on even rounds, then put any leftover villagers on the bottom of the deck and deal out 6 new villagers, and then you're on to the next exploration phase, and you'll continue playing until you finish the 5th round. But before we get to scoring, let's talk about the cards and fairy tokens. Cards have 2 functions. The first is to pay for placing your tribe tokens, and the second is for their card ability. There's 5 different types of cards in the game, and you always have to discard a pair of matching cards to use their ability. But cards played for their ability do not count as payment for placing a tribe token, and when you discard cards for payment, you can't use their ability. During the exploration phase, you can discard 2 banners after you place a tribe token to move one of your remaining tribe tokens to the top of the turn track. So after placing this token, I could move this token to the top of the turn track, and I'll get to take another turn immediately. You can discard 2 lanterns after you place a tribe token to take 1 fairy token from anywhere on the board. And you can discard 2 provisions after you place a tribe token to move a token that's already on the board to any other section on the river. So placing this tribe token here and discarding 2 provisions, I could move this token all the way to the top space of the river, and you do not have to pay the card cost even when you're moving to a more expensive space. But you can't take a token from the turn track for this ability. And during the collection phase, you can discard 2 fishing nets to take an additional pearl from the current tribe token you're collecting from. So if I'm collecting from this red tribe token, I could discard 2 fishing nets and take both of those pearls from this space. And finally, after you recruit a villager, you can discard 2 shamisen cards to move the tribe token you just resolved to the next available space, which means you'll be able to recruit another villager with that same tribe token on the same turn. You can also use fairy tokens anytime their action would be appropriate, and when you use a fairy token, they get discarded from the game. The bonfire fairy can be used in place of any camp card, either to pay a cost or as half of a pair that you're discarding for an ability. The breeze fairy lets you move 3 pearls from your alpaca or any villager tiles to any other villager tiles, and you can use this during the collection phase to free up space on your alpaca. This is the only way you can move pearls off of a villager tile. Otherwise, once you place a pearl on a tile, it's there for the rest of the game. The cloud fairy lets you place a tribe token in any available space for free on your turn during the exploration phase. The mushroom fairy lets you make 1 pearl space on a villager a wild space, so I could use that to place a pink pearl in a non-pink space. And when you're collecting a pearl, you can use a river fairy token to take an extra pearl from the token you're collecting from, just like the fishing nets. The game ends at the end of round 5, at which point you can move any remaining pearls from your alpaca to your villagers as long as you have spaces for them. And then it's time to score. You score points for all of the pearls on your villagers, then for any villagers whose scoring conditions you met, and finally, any alpaca cards you collected. First, score all of the pearls on your villager tiles. Each one will score based on its color, and there's a reference at the bottom of the board. You'll score 5 points for each white pearl, 4 points for each purple, 3 for each red, 2 for each blue, and 1 point for each green. And that's only for pearls on villagers. Pearls left on your alpaca at the end of the game don't score any points. Next, score your villagers. There's 2 types of villagers in the game, general collection and personal collection. General collection villagers show this 3 tile icon on the bottom right corner, and personal collection villagers show an arrow pointing at the pearls on the tile. General collection villagers score for a variety of things, and they don't have to be full to score. Your starting villager will always score 3 points for every completely filled villager tile you have, and that includes the starting villager tile. And the other general collection villagers score for a variety of things, like 7 points for whoever has the most blue pearls across their entire set of villagers, or 1 point for each leftover card you have, or 2 points for each white pearl that you have on your villagers. And page 16 of the rulebook shows all of the scoring conditions for all of the villagers. Personal collection villagers need specific pearls on them to score. This villager will score 8 points for having 1 white, 2 pink, and 2 green pearls on this tile at the end of the game. This one with the dashes will score 5 points if you have 4 matching pearls on your tile. And this one with the plus between the pearls will score 3 points if you have all different colored pearls on that tile. After you've added up all of the points for pearls and for your villagers, add any alpaca cards you claimed during the game, and the player with the highest score at the end of the game wins, and if there's a tie, players share the victory. And that is 12 Rivers. If you have any questions at all, be sure to leave us a comment below and we'll answer as quick as we can. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.